What's good, YouTube? Flash Speaks back. Lunchtime for sure. Today in Philadelphia, the topic as we approach the NFL season has been big time Jalen Hurts. A lot of Jalen Hurts talk because these guys on local radio, they're not good at coming up with topics, man. So they keep refurbishing the same topics over and over and over. And typically the Philadelphia Eagles dominate their conversation. And so, of course, Jalen Hurts is brought up. Jalen Hurts, a quarterback who has been nothing short of spectacular since he came to the Eagles. Been here 4 years. The first season doesn't really count because he played about 4 games. He was primarily behind Carson Wentz that first year. And then the last 3 years, Jalen Hurts has gotten the Philadelphia Eagles to the playoffs. Once without a squad. His first season got off to a rough start with a new coach and Nick Sirianni, who proved in that year that he does not know how to run an offense, does not know how to call plays, was completely incompetent. And then he turned the reins over to his offensive coordinator at the time, who was Shane Steichen, who turned it around, went to the running game, went to a different type of offense, and somehow the Philadelphia Eagles went on a run and made it into the playoffs that year, losing to Tampa Bay, who were the defending champions that year. Next year came out, Jalen Hurts had an all-pro season. Really by the numbers would have won MVP by all accounts had it not been for taking an injury in around week 12 or something like that against the Chicago Bears, where he missed a couple of games and was overtaken by Patrick Mahomes in the MVP voting. But made it to the Super Bowl and went toe-to-toe with the best quarterback in the league. Almost led the Eagles to victory. Some people will look at, like if you negative on Jalen Hurts, some people will look at a fumble that he did in the second quarter to be the reason that the Eagles lost, when everyone knows for real, that was not the reason the Eagles lost. Jalen Hurts, despite this fumble, went and led the Eagles to a 10-point lead at halftime. It was the defense that was under the command of Jonathan Gannon at the time that failed to get one stop in the whole second half of football. That led to the Philadelphia Eagles not winning and to Jalen Hurts not being the Super Bowl champion that year. And then last year, Philadelphia Eagles lose both offense and defensive coordinators and start 2 different coordinators who actually have had no prior experience and suffer from, I believe, a Super Bowl hangover. Philadelphia Eagles, despite the struggle, and because of the talent on the field and the heroics of Jalen Hurts, and I'll argue any of y'all motherfuckers down about this, man, because a lot of y'all talking a lot of bullshit out there. There's a lot of bullshit narratives going on about Jalen Hurts last year, about he had an off season. How the hell you have an off season when you were 10-1 at a certain point in the year? And the only reason you win games against Buffalo, the only reason you win games against Kansas City, the only reason you won those games against many of the teams that we faced, even the Dallas Cowboys that first time around, was through the heroics of Jalen Hurts and his play in the second half of games, and then the fourth quarter of games, where he out-clutched many of your favorite quarterbacks. All these guys that all y'all think is the shit. The Dak Prescott's people claim is like the best quarterback supposedly in the NFC East. Patrick Mahomes, who was widely recognized as the best quarterback in the league. And Josh Allen, a guy that people recognize as a top 4 quarterback in the league. Jalen Hurts outperformed all those guys in the fourth quarter last year in order to get the Eagles to 10-1. And then the Eagles have a historic collapse that came as a result of a defense that couldn't get it together. A defensive change from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia, which led to, and then picking up Shaq Leonard and picking up Kevin Byard and guys like that, though, while the Eagles felt like, they needed to make a move. It led to a disaster. An Eagles team that really started bleeding and couldn't stop the bleeding. And lost the last 6 games and went into the playoffs and got destroyed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that wasn't on their level talent-wise. So now you got the local Philadelphia media. They want to blame Jalen Hurts for all of this. They just so inept at judging a football team. There's two reasons. Number one, they're inept, and number two, they lack integrity. They're inept because they lack knowledge, with the exception of a few. John Ritchie knows because he played football. He was a fullback, so he knows. Seth Joyner knows. Ike Reese knows. But what happens is they have a bunch of clowns on WIP. Joe DeCamera being the major clown. Tom Kelly being the second major clown. Joe Giglio being another clown. These types of guys who are just journalists in their background, who are just a bunch of guys, man, that just run with narratives, who cannot break down a play, who cannot break down film, who cannot do any of these things other than talk shit and run with rumors. These are the types of guys that you have in Philadelphia. So what they do is they just target one player and then blame that player for everything. And typically, that's the quarterback of the team. And right now, it's Jalen Hurts. So despite Jalen Hurts, in 3 out of 4 years being with the Philadelphia Eagles, getting the team to the playoffs, despite him getting into the Super Bowl and balling his ass off in the Super Bowl, they want to point to Jalen Hurts. And it's because they end up. And then the second reason that Jalen Hurts gets a lot of the criticism that he gets is because we're going to keep it 100%. That's what we do here at Full Speaks. Jalen Hurts does not fit the mold of what people have been trained to believe, or what people have been brainwashed to believe is the mold of a great quarterback. People, let's keep it 100%, in their mind have this perception of a quarterback that is the perfect quarterback to be the height of 6'4", preferably a white male, who has a strong arm, who can somewhat move around a little bit, but for the most part is perfect in the pocket, right? So their idea of the perfect quarterback is a guy like Tom Brady, a guy like Peyton Manning, a guy like Josh Allen, a guy like Justin Herbert, right? These are guys that they believe fit the mold. And this is why Carson Wentz was taken number 2 overall in the draft. Not because of anything that he accomplished in college, not because of numbers he put up or any of that. Carson Wentz actually went to a school that wasn't even a Division I school. He goes to a school like what was that? Freaking North Dakota State, right? And he ends up being the number 2 pick in the draft. Though North Dakota State is a good program, it is not a program that is like competitive when it comes to, like, you know, the great teams in the Division I program. But despite that, he still goes number 2 overall. Let's keep it 100%. Jalen Hurts does not fit this mold of this type of quarterback, so he goes in the second round. Jalen Hurts is given all types of criticism. People not looking at the fact that he wins. People not looking at the fact that he is nice and calm in the clutch or any of those types of things. They're looking at the fact that he's 6'2". He could actually be 6'1", I don't know, but he's listed at 6'2". He's a quarterback that, in the beginning, was a better runner than he was a thrower, in many people's opinion. He doesn't get credit for the strides that he made in terms of throwing the football. I admit, when Jalen Hurts was playing at Alabama in his early seasons, though he was a winner, though he was a guy you can count on, he was not like a prolific thrower of the football, and he didn't run that like in the offense. But Jalen Hurts was getting Alabama to the championship games, though he was benched for Tua in one game, in the championship game. He made up for it. Everybody who knows the history of college knows that what happened. But Jalen Hurts goes later to Oklahoma and gets with Lincoln Riley, and he becomes a better passer. But nobody cares about that. But my point is, despite the fact that Jalen Hurts showed the whole world during the Super Bowl what he can do as far as passing the ball, he showed the whole world through fantastic passing, pinpoint accuracy, what he could do on the stage. Despite that, in Philadelphia, you still have people questioning whether or not Jalen Hurts can perform in the playoffs. You still have people questioning whether or not Jalen Hurts is better than Dak Prescott in the playoffs, because of the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles were so dominant the year they went to the Super Bowl, because they defeated the New York Giants with ease, and because they defeated the San Francisco 49ers as a result of the defense making a play and hurting the quarterback. They believe Jalen Hurts still somehow is just not good, somehow, some way. So much so that even a list of GMs came out today. Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback in the league, but then they have the likes of Justin Herbert listed on this list. They have dudes like, Aaron Rodgers. I don't mind Aaron Rodgers being there, but you got Justin Herbert there on the list. You got Matt Stafford there on the list. Even though Matt Stafford, we know, was a guy that put up crazy numbers. He did win the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but last year, can anyone tell us right now that Matt Stafford's better than Jalen Hurts right now? Like, honestly, these are the type of questions that we have. But this is what Jalen Hurts is faced with in a city like Philadelphia, where he's doubted. And for those obvious reasons that I just mentioned, people just doubt him. But Jalen Hurts, without a doubt, is the type of quarterback I like, and I'm going to explain why. Listen, people are funny when it comes to the quarterback position. This is how I judge a quarterback at the end of the day. The best quarterbacks are these guys. Can I count on you? Right? If the GM does his job, meaning puts a decent offensive line around you, gives you competent wide receiver play, gives you competent tight end play, gives you a competent running game, gives you a competent coach with a competent plan, and a competent defense that at least gives you a chance to win. Can I count on you to do your part as a quarterback? That's my question. And for me, Jalen Hurts has answered this question. He showed us in 2022 that if he has a competent defense, that if he has a competent coach, or competent coaching, I'll put it that way. I don't know about Nick Sirianni, but I would say Shane Steichen was competent coaching. Competent line, competent receivers. Can he do his part? And he showed us that. He had an all-pro season. He also went to the Super Bowl. He showed us that. There are many quarterbacks that you give them all of that and they don't perform. Guys like Dak Prescott didn't perform with all of that. Guys like Kirk Cousins doesn't perform when you give him that. Guys like Matt Ryan, besides 1 year where he got to the Super Bowl, for the most part will put up numbers, but then he'll fail. Guys like Justin Herbert, who put up all these crazy numbers and all that, but then when shit get real and he in a situation where he got to get his team over a big game, he don't come through. For me, the main thing that I'm looking for in a quarterback is a guy that is able to stay focused and block out all the noise, block out the crowd, block out the blitz, block out everything, and just focus on the task at hand. And Jalen Hurts has shown me that. He's shown me that all the way. So, and I got this through watching football for a lot of years. A lot of people, they enthralled with a dude that can do a sidearm throw while falling, and with the defense bearing down on him, and you think that's just a great quarterback. That is a dude that is able to make something out of a broken play, and that's cool. I've seen Josh Allen in situations where he could have easily beat the Chiefs if he just would have executed right down the stretch, missing throws, missing receivers at those certain times, at those key moments. And that's the difference between a guy like that and a guy like Jalen Hurts. Like Jalen Hurts, he might miss a receiver at certain points in the game or whatever, but if he has a chance to beat you, and it is a situation that is pivotal, Jalen Hurts, he'll get you. He don't make those fatal mistakes. That's the difference between him and a lot of guys. A Dak Prescott, people want to talk about, he passed for 4,000 yards and all. Okay, that's cool. But what about in the big game, in the playoff game? Can you count on him to execute at that time? And I argue anybody down. That's what separates the guys that are going to win you something from the guys that don't. Like Joe Montana wasn't doing sidearm throws. He wasn't doing 80-yard bombs and all that kind of stuff. One could argue that John Elway is more talented. One could argue that Dan Marino's more talented. But to me, I ask, what does that make? What difference does it make if your dude going to freeze up and my guy going to be cool as hell and going to get it done? That's the thing. That's why Joe Montana was better than them dudes. People don't give dudes like Terry Bradshaw respect, even though he got 4 fucking rings. They talk about Roger Staubach was better than him or whatever, and Roger Staubach got 2. These are the type of things I don't understand. I went back and watched those Super Bowls where Bradshaw played. Bradshaw's an all-time great. Why? Because he was clutch in the 4th quarter. Like, I get it, they got a defense and all that, but that's cool. That's the whole point. You want your organization to build a perfect team around a guy. You want competence around a guy. And then you let the guy do his job once all that stuff around him is right. That's what you want. People talk shit about Troy Aikman. A lot of times you're all over the place. You hear people act like all these quarterbacks are better than Troy Aikman. You hear some crazy Cowboy fans act like Dak Prescott better than Troy Aikman because they're looking at numbers. Hell no. Troy Aikman was a dude that, all right, you give him Michael Irvin, you give him Emmitt Smith, you give him that line, you give him that defense, he'll go win the Super Bowl for you. There's a lot of other quarterbacks you can give them that same thing and they'll go up there and fuck it up. For real. So, I don't understand what people think. I don't understand the thinking people have when it comes to this type of stuff, man. You know what I mean? Like, personally, I believe the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl this year. You know, and Jalen Hurts, I mean, he about to put them doubters out of here, man. Like, a lot of these guys, you know, they be like, Tua better than Hurts. Like, it just be like just weird stuff, man, because they like the way he threw the ball. What do it matter if when we get to that moment, you're not going to get it done? What does it matter? Right? I'm not looking for, like, the quarterback to be Superman. Like, sometimes people act like they don't want to be real about what's around the quarterback. If it's incompetency around the quarterback, they think the quarterback's supposed to overcome it. Bro, I only seen like 2 quarterbacks do that. Tom Brady does it, and Patrick Mahomes does it, where he had trash around him and still get it done. I only seen 2 guys do that. Joe Montana did it too. In '81, he did it. Joe Montana did not have like Jerry Rice and John Taylor and all of them until around '86. But before then, he had like dudes like Freddie Solomon. He had dudes like Brent Jones. He had dudes like, he didn't get Roger Craig until like 84 or something like that. And he got 2 Super Bowls with subpar talent around him. It was Dan Marino that had Mark Duper, Mark Clayton, and all those type of guys and didn't get it done. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's something that people are overlooking when it comes to like a great quarterback. And I believe Jalen Hurts showed me that he has that. He lost the Super Bowl because of incompetent coaching and incompetent defense. Andy Reid outcoached the hell out of Nick Sirianni in those closing moments, or Jonathan Gannon in those closing moments. Jonathan Gannon wasn't prepared for those plays that Andy Reid called. And that's why the Eagles lost that game, man. So, that's just my take on it, man. Tell me what y'all think. And please like and subscribe. Share if you can. Peace.